starting all this, the question is, what's the purpose in telling stories of women in computing?
To give a voice for those who don't have one.
And whether you're from a community college like we are, faculty, or students, or you're in industry working in the field, we just think it's so important that we all have a voice and that we can be a model for those who are looking for a career in computing and that will follow us.
Coming out of high school, I was strong in two areas, English and math. When I got to college, they told me to choose as though computing wasn't an option. So my first degree is in English, and after I graduated, I was in a job where I was asked to do quite a bit of database work for the person who was supposed to be doing the database work, and I thought I should go back to school, so I did. And I ended up with a computer science degree.
I'm kind of competitive even though I'm quiet. And when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, we used to have these math contests. We'd go to the board and see who could answer the math problems the quickest. And there were 2 guys in my class that always won until I did. And then when I was a senior in high school, my math teacher took us to a place where her husband worked. And of course this was a long time ago because I'm ancient. But he took a deck of cards and he put them in this machine and just swallowed them up, and it spit out this report. You know, it added some numbers together, did some calculations for the business. And then he showed us how he could change a couple of the cards and let the machine eat them up again and spit out a different answer. And he explained how he was telling the computer, helping the computer do its job, telling it what to do as a programmer. And I just fell in love with the machine.
So I've always been interested in technology. I've kind of switched careers and landed on this one, but I've been messing with computers since my dad brought the first one home when I was in like 2nd grade.
I was very young, and my dad he always tinkered with computers, so he had a book on QBasic, which is a pretty old programming language. So I just copied code from the QBasic book and created little games. So that was my first introduction, and I was pretty young. And then my next introduction, I was lucky enough in middle school, high school. I was lucky enough in high school to have a teacher, a retired military professional who taught a programming class in Visual Basic. So I had a lot of luck ended me up in this career.
Ever since I was little, I've always been around computers and technology, and I've liked it. So I thought, you know, I might as well do more about it, like learn more about it.
When I was a high schooler, I just knew I was going to college and I was going to go into the business field. And I started taking classes. I went into an accounting class and decided that that may not be necessarily where I wanted. And so my intro to computers instructor pulled me aside and said, you know, you have some potential here. And next thing I know, here I am. I'm 42 years old. I'm still in computer science or the IT field.
So I went to our local college, just started taking one class, and I just kept going, and that's how I ended up in computer science.
You know, I started out with a word processing class, and then after that I started out with the basic programming language in middle school, and then kind of gradually got into more computer classes throughout high school, and so I eventually wanted to be a computer person and a business person, so I kind of double majored in both. So
from a young age, I was always really interested in computers, and I guess that kind of wanted me to go, hey, there's jobs in this? Well, sure, let's try that.
in middle school, a friend of mine told me she was going to make a website, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool, and I wanted to make one too. So I ended up making a website. I don't even remember the details of like starting on that. My dad helped me, I remember. And I was on girlpages.com, that's G-U-R-L pages.com. They were a site for like web hosting, web design for like young teenage women was the shtick, and so it was like very targeted at me. And then so that got me into the design stuff, so like the HTML, CSS, JavaScript kind of thing.
We were all required to take a basic intro computing class. I took the class, and this isn't to brag or anything, but I scored the highest. I just had a natural knack for it, if you will, and my professor actually encouraged me, and from that point on, I changed my major. I was a major in management science. I actually didn't change my major, I just added computing to it. So I was a double major. And I figured, well, you know, I want to go into management science, but computers seem to be something that are going to be important to know, so I'll just add a major. And then from there, it's history. I kind of fell in love with it.
When I had written a grant for one of my projects, I just sort of flippantly said as one of the products of my research that I would sort of make a website, like sort of, you know, sharing what I'd found in my research. Having no idea whatsoever about how to make a website, I thought I would just get like a WordPress or Squarespace and figure it out. And so, yeah.
I took a computer programming class in high school because it was a required course, and I really enjoyed the challenge of figuring out how to make things move.
I actually got into technology in a roundabout way. I did have a Commodore 64. I guess that started my journey when I was in middle school, and enjoyed tinkering with that. I was, I guess, probably one of my friends to have any type of computer, so that was kind of interesting.
One of the teachers there brought a class in BASIC to our high school, and it was a new thing at that time, and I signed up for that. I really enjoyed programming. I thought it was really neat.
Love learning new tools, and if there's a better way to do it, then I think we should learn.
I like fixing the computer, but then again, I like doing like phone stuff too. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
I started computer study programming. So I took my first computer programming this semester, and I love it.
Love doing this stuff. I think it's very elegant, some of the stuff that you can do with programming, and there's like a beauty in it to me. So coming up with like a SQL query that perfectly describes the exact data that I want to get out.
The interconnectedness of people and how you can make friends with people who don't necessarily live in your area.
My favorite thing is coding. Not just like the programs that are on it, but like inside of it and how to code stuff.
It's just always changing, you know, it's always changing. It keeps my interest, a very inquisitive mind, and being a teacher in computing, I feel like I'm making a difference. I'm helping the youth try to catch on fire for this wonderful, exciting discipline.
If a computer can do it better, faster than my brain, which is probably very true, why not automate? Why not leave these things running in the background or have triggers that I may not have to follow up with all the time?
It's kind of like a puzzle. That's the best way I can describe it. It's always trying to figure out something that you didn't know the day before, and when you bang your head against it for long enough and it just finally works, it's the best feeling.
What would I tell other women getting into the field? It's okay to be right.
You have to remember that everybody started somewhere, and the best way to get better at something is to be really terrible at it for a really long time.
It is really difficult, but at the same time it's also surprisingly fun and surprisingly empowering.
Well, take it from somebody that even had trouble getting up in front of a group and talking. You can do anything.
You may feel a little different or awkward because you may be the only woman in this field where you are, or maybe two. It's very rewarding. You know, you can really make a difference. You can transform the future.
Technology is the way of the future, and the more we embrace it, the more successful we'll be.
One of the things I think I find very important is to not take things serious all the time. This is a serious topic. I'm very, very passionate about it, and while I'll laugh about something and I'll have a good time, I'm very passionate about increasing the numbers of women in computing. I want to see it grow because there's so many good ideas out there, and I want to reach out to as many people as possible. But don't be afraid to have a good time too. Don't be afraid to laugh and laugh at yourself, and it's okay.
It's finding a partner to work with or a mentor that works with you. Melanie and I have had some very exciting times of just working so hard, and then you almost get silly because, you know, you're tired and you're worn out, but it just helps to have that person alongside you that you're working with. I think research would support the idea that women like, even especially in the computing field, like this idea of pairing with somebody else when they're doing their work, and it just, you know, have fun with it. It's, you know, work is work no matter what profession you choose, and you really want to be able to have those opportunities where you just enjoy what you're doing.
Just do the next thing. My dad always used to tell me that. My dad was a very simple man, didn't have a college degree, didn't even finish high school, and it's the best advice I found in my whole life. Just do the next thing. Don't worry about everything else. You know, when opportunities come along, raise your hand if something sounds kind of fun. Don't be afraid that you're not going to be able to do it and that you don't have the right skills or the right whatever, but then do it with a passion. My advice, especially to our younger generation, is it's cool to be a nerd. It's cool to be geek. You can be whoever you want. You can still be beautiful and intelligent at the same time. So my advice is just go for it.
You know, embrace being one of few women in the room sometimes, because you can really add to the technology world and the business world in many different ways.
If you're focused on doing your best and doing the work, the respect and fitting in follows from that.
It's good to get involved with people you're comfortable being around, and if that means starting or getting involved with a women's group.
Join some groups who have common interests and will keep you up to date with the current technologies.
I'm really thankful to organizations like ACM, ACMW, and NCWIT for their support for women in computing, but also for community colleges.
We're so hopeful that the stories that you've heard today can inspire you, can inspire other women in computing. I feel so very fortunate that I was able to hear Grace Hopper early on in my career. We know of her legacy now, and it was just overwhelming to think about being able to see this history, you know, in person, and all that she was able to do for computing in general, but also for women in computing. And we hope that some of the stories that you have heard and been a part of in forming this video can inspire others.